Welcome back to Book Break. I have got some more summer recommendations for you today, which is ironic because I sat down to film this summer reads video and it started pouring with rain outside. So hopefully by the time you are watching this video, the sun has come back out and you are back in the mood for some summer reading recommendations. A few weeks ago here on Book Break, I made a video that was recommending a bunch of paperback books for you to take on holiday. So I thought I'd switch things up, and today I've got a bunch of hardbacks. These are all summer page turners that are going to keep you busy this summer. And these books have all got a little hint of darkness, so it's something a little bit different than your typical summer recommendations. All I can guarantee that they all have in common is that they will keep you turning those pages until you get to the end. They are so compelling. So let's dive into my recommendations. First up, I have The Centre by Aisha Manazir Siddiqui. This is a really dark, really compelling, really thought-provoking book about a young woman who's working as a translator when she stumbles across the existence of The Centre. And The Centre promises that they can help you become fluent in any language of your choosing in just 10 days. The Centre is extraordinarily expensive, but it turns out that the real cost is even darker and more sinister than money. I'll link below to a video on our main company YouTube channel that we've got of the author who came in and talked to us, and she's so fascinating, talking about the act of translation and the kind of dark side of translation that a lot of us never really think about. The fact that in having something translated, are you kind of gaining access to something that wasn't really yours to understand? There's the fact that a language isn't just a language comes with a whole culture and a whole history attached. And so in this book, in absorbing someone else's language in just 10 days, what are you appropriating of their life? I absolutely raced to this one. I read it all in one day, and in fact I have included this in our challenge that we're setting you this summer, so I'll link to that video below as well, the 5 books, 5 stars, 5 days challenge, where we're challenging you to do what it says on the tin, read 5 books in 5 days, and this is one of the books that I did read in one day. I doubt you'll be able to read The Square of Sevens in one day, however, because it is fairly chunky. This is the latest book by Laura Shepherd Robinson. It is a historical mystery, and people are loving this book so much. It's the story of a girl called Red finding out more about her past and about her identity, and the story takes us all around the country, from Cornwall to London to Bath, and Red has this history of she used to travel with her father and they would tell fortunes using cards, and that's where the name comes from. The Square of Sevens is a particular fortune telling method. And this book has a lot of twists right the way to the end. Laura Shepherd Robinson manages to surprise you over and over again. I ran a read-along for this book with a bunch of influencers who all read it together and loved it, and not one of them guessed the twist. Bringing it back to present day, or near present day, Everything's Fine by Cecilia Robes is page-turning in a different way. This is not a mystery. This is the story of a young woman getting into a relationship that is so doomed to fail that you cannot turn away from it. Jess is a young black woman working in her first job in finance, this really kind of cutthroat environment that's also very male and very white. And there she meets, or re-meets, Josh, who is a young white man who she knew and loathed when they were at college together. They had actually met originally the night that Obama won the 2008 election, and they had very different opinions about that. And now, fast forward, we are building up towards the 2016 election, and once again they're going to find themselves having very different opinions. Jess is such an interesting character because the book is really about her grappling with all the different ways in which she realises she's not living in line with her values. So there's her job, the industry that she works in. She doesn't always believe in it. She doesn't agree with a lot of the people around her and how they see the world, and yet this is a way for her to make a lot of money and to be financially secure and look after herself and her father and things that are really important to her. And a lot of that is fascinating and really relatable. Maybe not the same situation, but all of us, I think, find that we do certain things to survive in the world that don't totally line up with everything we believe in, all of the values we have. Another really strong example is Jess's relationship with Josh, because they clash in so many ways, but they also really get on. They form at first this quite intense friendship that leads to something else, and I thought I would find their relationship totally unbelievable, and actually when reading the book, I got it. I saw why she was attracted to Josh. I definitely saw why he was attracted to her. But you also read it screaming at the page, knowing that it is not going to be a good idea for Jess. Because as the author has said, there's dating someone with different opinions to you, and then there's dating someone who consistently denies your humanity. It's a really interesting book. It's very, very divisive. It's been controversial. It's a really good book club book because people are going to have strong opinions. But one thing is for certain, you will not be able to look away. All of Us Are Broken is the latest thriller by Fiona Cummins. She is queen of the very dark thriller, and this book is no exception. In fact, in the very first scene of this book, we meet a woman being told to choose between her two children, which of them is going to die. So that sets the tone for quite how dark this book is going to get. We then go back and see how this woman and her children crossed paths with Missy and Fox, who are this murderous couple hell-bent on infamy. And the detective at the scene of the crime is Saul Anguish, who, if you have read any of Fiona Cummins' other books, you may recognise because he pops up in a few of them. Saul Anguish is a great detective character because, unsurprisingly, from a writer like Fiona Cummins, he has a dark side. So I actually first met the character of Saul Anguish in a different Fiona Cummins series, the Bone Collector series, which was about a serial killer, and Saul Anguish is at that point a teenager who is kind of taken on as an apprentice. He has now grown up, he has moved away from that life, he has become a detective, he is trying to do good for the world, but he is definitely damaged by his experiences in the past, and so he is a slightly sinister character. So if you like your page turners to be really twisty, really scary, then All of Us Are Broken is my recommendation for you. If you prefer them to be more fun and adventurous, then I recommend The Ghost Ship by Kate Moss. This is a historical adventure. It's set in the 1600s. It takes us from France to Amsterdam to the Canary Islands. It's a real swashbuckling adventure, and it's about pirates, including female pirates. It's got love and revenge and treasure and mystery. It's got a love story at the heart between two figures inspired by real historical figures, two real female pirates. So there's so much fun to be had with this one. For some more historical fiction, The Maiden by Kate Foster is inspired by a real-life crime. So this is set in the 17th century. It's about a woman, a lady, who is arrested and charged with the murder of her lover. And this is in a time when the fact that she had a lover made her evil, made her pretty much the same as a murderer, at least in the eyes of the people reporting the news. And so the headlines reported her as this adulteress, murderess. But people were fascinated with why this woman, Lady Christian, would have done something like this. Only a year before, she was a newly married, very, very privileged woman. What would have led her to risk so much for an affair? And what possible reason could she have had for wanting her lover dead? Because after all, there were other people involved in this story who had very good reason to want him dead as well. So Kate Foster has taken this true story and then given it this feminist fictionalization, which will have you absolutely gripped, which will make you angry, which will make you empowered. It's kind of giving a voice back to a woman who was otherwise silenced by history. There's a quote here on the back: "In the end, it did not matter what I said at my trial, no one believed me." And we know that that was true and continues to be true. A lot of women just are not believed when they tell their stories. So this book is here to change that bit. Homecoming by Kate Morton is a sweeping mystery. It's set in Australia, where Kate Morton is from. It is set between present day and the 1950s. It's this generational family mystery. It's everything that you love about Kate Morton books. So the mystery here starts in 1959, the Turner family tragedy. This entire family, the Turner family, are found dead on Christmas Eve. This was this really high-profile case that was never solved. A murderer was never found. And now in present day, our main character is digging into this decades-old mystery and realizing the links with her family now. When I was reading this book, I kept making theories and then changing my theories and then changing them again as twist after twist kept revealing new pieces of the puzzle that I had to put together in a different way, and I never managed to guess what was going to happen at the end. As well as being a really compelling mystery, it's just so lovely to read. Kate Morton has such a brilliant way of writing, setting and scenery and big beautiful houses. I've read a lot of Kate Morton books. I always love reading her gorgeous country houses. This is the first time she has set one of her novels in her own homeland of Australia, and I've never been to Australia and now I feel like I have. I loved having that setting brought to life for me in the Adelaide Hills. So gorgeous. Because remember, even though the Turner family tragedy happened on Christmas Eve, in Australia that is summer. So this is a perfect summer book. And finally, the last book I'm going to recommend, I don't actually have here because at the time of filming this, the hard copies have not yet arrived in the office. But by the time you're watching this, you will be able to get your hands on this one. And it is Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney, the latest thriller from the Queen of Twists. Alice Feeney writes such a good twist, and this is no exception. So again, in this book, we're going to jump through time. 20 years ago, a baby was stolen from a pushchair. Now, 20 years later, a woman has been murdered in a care home. These two crimes are somehow linked, and we have to work out how. To help us along the way, we're going to meet three women. Edith, who lives in a nursing home but is constantly planning her escape. Patience, who works at the nursing home and has a really lovely bond with Edith but is lying to Edith about everything. And Cleo, who is Edith's daughter but won't talk to her. And then someone new comes knocking on Cleo's door with not necessarily good intentions. So with all of these characters, we are going to have to somehow figure out the answer to a mystery that has three suspects, two murders, and one victim. And somehow in solving all of that, we might figure out what happened to the baby that was stolen and the woman the baby was stolen from. So much drama, so many twists and surprises. Good Bad Girl is going to be everything that you want from a dark summer read. So those are my recommendations of the best summer page turners with a little hint of darkness, and I would love to hear your suggestions. Do put in the comments below if you have any summer page turners that you'd like to recommend for me to read. I will link here to the video I mentioned about the best paperbacks to take on holiday, and of course don't forget to subscribe to Book Break for new recommendations every week, and I'll see you next time.